Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the naming of the Tory MP who was caught watching porn instead of doing his job in the House of Commons, and trying to tackle the question as to why an otherwise diligent MP feels that they were able to do this without consequence. Basically, the behaviour in Parliament will never be cleared up until these questions are asked and the answers faced up to. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. Now, before I get on to Parish himself, the MP at the centre of this storm, I suppose the first thing to say is that this behaviour, whilst unacceptable, is probably on the lower end of recent criticisms of MPs' behaviours. We've had MPs convicted for assaults and sex offences. We've had MPs involved in bullying and sexual harassment. We had a Tory MP recently check himself into a mental health clinic because he was upset that the media were making a fuss of his illegal use of hard drugs and more allegations of sexual harassment. Senior members of the government have broken the law, including criminal law now. So against that background, Neil Parish MP watching Big Busty Nurses Part 3 may seem tame. But behaviour is either acceptable or it is not. Unacceptable behaviour doesn't suddenly become worth ignoring just because others have been doing worse things. Also, once I've discussed the events surrounding this specific case, I want to consider the wider problem. And I have to say, I don't want to focus on the Conservatives with this. It's easy to do so. The majority of these issues centre around Conservative MPs, but by no means all of them. There are currently 56 MPs under active investigation for allegations of sexual harassment of some form or other. That's over 8% of all MPs facing an investigation. This does not include those who have already been investigated or those about whom complaints have not been made, even though it would be warranted. It's a massive problem. But Neil Parish first. He has been named as the Tory MP who was caught watching porn in the House of Commons. He was named after several days. Now, there are a few questions to ask concerning this specific case, but the first is, why several days? The whip started to investigate as soon as the allegations came to light. There were witnesses. And these witnesses were other Tory MPs. So there's no suggestion here of party political bias in the allegations. If an MP of one party makes an allegation of an MP of a opposing party, it may be true, it may not be true. There is that then doubt. But here there can be no doubt. And Neil Parish, this aside, seems to have been a good MP as far as you can objectively measure it. He did his job, he worked quite hard according to people. Wasn't one of the bell ends getting involved in the culture wars other than the usual party political games as far as I can tell. Basically, not an MP who would be attracting grudges, not one standing above the parapet and pissing everyone off around them. So not someone who would be an obvious target of a smear campaign amongst his own party. So the allegations will have been true. And indeed, now that he's been outed, he's admitted it. So why did it take so long? Were the whips trying to hush it all up? Were they trying to negotiate with offended Tory MPs to keep it quiet? Was he only named because the MPs who witnessed it refused to sweep it all under the carpet? Like after the Mail on Sunday attack on Angela Rayner last week, there's been a real pushback against misogynism in Parliament. Female Conservative MPs have been getting together to discuss the issues as well, and I hope it's a sign that they are sick of it and want something done. But before I get onto that, another couple of things about Parish specifically. So he's now had the whip removed, a standard enough response. But just like naming him, why did it take this long? Boris Johnson knew about it several days before. Why didn't he act sooner? I understand you have to listen to Parish, you have to listen to the witnesses, but that doesn't take several days. There's like 3 people involved. There's Parish and there's like 2 Tory MP witnesses as far as I can tell. I really think they've tried to hush this up and failed. In fact, Neil Parish himself said that he only told his wife the day he was outed. That he did not even tell his wife that he was the one at the centre of the latest scandal shows you that he does not think himself innocent. I mean, ironically, he was interviewed about it by GBBs. They actually asked him, what do you think about this Tory MP who's been watching porn in the Commons? And he didn't at that point say, yeah, that was me, that actually. It was an accident. It was an accident. No, he pretended like he didn't know it was him. Okay, you can understand that, trying to get out of it. But to his own wife, all that suggests to me is he knows what he did was wrong, he just doesn't think he should face the consequences. But then Parish's defence, because of course there's a defence, there's no apology, no contrition. He claims he accidentally clicked on it. Now, okay, yes, it's easy to accidentally click on something on your phone. We all do it. We don't all have porn to accidentally click on. That it was even there to be clicked on means his cookies know he's interested. But I'm not judging what he looks at in his own time. And if it's his phone that he pays for himself without public money, which is possible, I don't know, then he can do what he likes as long as it's legal. But if you do accidentally click on something like that, I would think you'd turn it off pretty quickly. What's supposed to have happened here? That he clicked on this thing and then watched it for a while going, that's not what I meant to click on. Does it really take that long? Now, you know, and what was supposed to happen when these MPs, these witnesses went to the whips tried to hush up. Did they try and say, oh yeah, you did it accidentally? What do you mean accidentally? He was watching it for ages. Oh yeah, he's not very good with phones, you know. I mean, I know I've said that Tory MPs seem to be a bit thick these days, but I still reckon that even the dimmest of them can tell the difference between porn flashing up on someone's phone and then hurriedly trying to get rid of it and someone casually watching it for a while. These witnesses have not caught him just accidentally clicking on it and then trying to get rid of it. What's happened here is Parish and the whips have spent several days working out what's provable, trying to downplay it. They've probably verified that none of the cameras in the chamber caught the offence in action, so it's all down to the witnesses. So they'll aim to put pressure on the witnesses to downplay the length of time he was enjoying bouncy invaders from Venus and allow him his ridiculous defence. Well, you know, when the investigation comes along. The investigation will probably still find him guilty of bringing the House into disrepute because, I mean to say, an MP was watching porn instead of doing his job. They would have to accept the defence that it was just clicked on momentarily. Not gonna, anyway. I don't know. We'll see. But in what other job, other than, say, director or editor in the porn industry, can you actually watch porn while you're working and not face disciplinary action if you're caught? But, you know, if they do find him guilty, they'll probably recommend a minor suspension. Parish says that he will resign under those circumstances, but we will see. Or it may be nothing consequential, and that'll be that. And like I've already said, on the scale of wrongdoing that we've seen in the past few years alone, never mind the past few weeks, sure, this one ranks quite low on the unacceptable behaviour scale, but it is still on that scale. So why did he do it? I mean, why did he feel entitled to do that? Like I say, someone into porn knows you don't watch it at work. Certainly when you could be found out. If you're just a porn fiend and you can't manage until the end of the working day, you still wouldn't do it surrounded by colleagues, would you? Most people wouldn't even do it in their own time, and it's all perfectly lawful if there are observers around. Like you wouldn't do it on the bus mostly. You might get the odd person, but generally speaking, you would know not to do it on the bus or anything like that. So why did this MP feel that he didn't need to observe what would, for the vast majority of us, be normal social and professional boundaries? Why are 56 MPs under investigation? Even given that some may be innocent, many will surely not be. They can't all be fabricated allegations. And why do the authorities not deal with the issue seriously? Like, slight tangent, puts me in mind of the Met Police. The Met Police have been described as institutionally racist, institutionally corrupt by MPs. Now, the vast majority of its officers will, of course, do their duty diligently. They are not corrupt, they are not racist. So is it fair to label the entire force for the actions of a few bad apples? Yes, because they keep closing ranks to protect those bad apples. This then infects the entire barrel. When unacceptable behaviour rears its head, the entire organisation should act. If not in the interests of justice, then at least in their own reputational interests. The Met Police didn't do this, and so now their reputation is in the gutter. Same with Parliament. In order to try and preserve the reputation of Parliament, they do the worst thing possible. They cover for these offences, try to downplay them, deal with them on the quiet. This is the wrong attitude because what happens is you then get a huge number of cases which then can't be swept under the carpet. Because it not only shows would-be offenders that the boundaries they observed before they entered Parliament do not exist for MPs, so you get more of them and it gets to such a level that then it attracts attention. But it also shows victims that it is an unworthwhile fight to deal with the issues because the establishment is against you. Any system where the establishment is on the side of the perpetrator and not the victim is not fit for purpose. 56 MPs under investigation right now. Actually, maybe 57. I don't think I'm counting Neil Parish in that. It's 56 last week. 57 for sexual harassment or some sort of similar offence. Never mind the individual investigations. Why isn't Parliament looking at that number and saying we need a 58th investigation? One into why this number is so bloody high. It is this high because never mind those who might be innocent and the target of false allegations, the actual perpetrators of these offences know that the system is designed to let them off. Sure, every now and then, one will be unlucky and circumstances will conspire to see them face consequences. Maybe they need an explicit list of prohibited actions, things that most of us learned as we grew up, but MPs seem ignorant of. You know, like I have rules for the pugs. They're getting there, you know, but they're a bit thick. You know, don't bark when I've told you to shut up. Don't shit on the floor inside. Don't piss on the floor inside. Don't fart in my face. If you're Walter, try not to fart at all. If I made a smell like that, I'd go to the doctor. Don't lick me. Don't lick the furniture. Don't lick the windows. They're getting there, like I said, but they're pugs. They're not bright. But MPs are surely a little bit brighter than pugs. Surely they could learn to follow a simple list. But any MP who spends any time in Parliament at all will just see a conveyor belt of their colleagues getting found out and having it all hushed up. You know, maybe they have to issue a statement to the press about, you know, how they accidentally clicked on the website or they accidentally fell on the ketchup bottle at the same time as their belt broke and their trousers fell down, or accidentally had an arm spasm and it was just bad luck that that female MP's arse happened to be in the way at the time. But then it'll be forgotten about. There'll be some funny political cartoons in the papers the next day and then they'll move on. And MPs will see this going on all the time. Much more so than members of the public. We see it when it just gets so rapid fire we can't ignore it. MPs, it's their daily life, it's their colleagues, it's their workplace, it's all the time. They'll learn in their time in Parliament that the consequences for the behaviour that they see all the time are rare. But there are consequences for reporting it, as if the victim reporting the offence is the one bringing Parliament into disrepute. Oh, you make a fuss like that, it reflects very badly on us, you know, you don't want that, do you? You know, after all, if they never reported it, nobody would ever know, would they? It stinks, and until enough MPs get together and decide they've had enough, it'll carry on. Because I'll tell you something, the MPs who don't want this behaviour going on outnumber those who do. They just need to band together. Parliament is an absolute bugger for tradition. This is why they refuse, for example, to build a modern parliamentary debating chamber with electronic voting devices. Ukraine is under siege right now. Even their parliament is functioning better than ours. MPs hide behind tradition as a way of keeping modernity at bay. And it works for values just like it does for systems. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And until next time, I'll see you later.